Hey, this is Icon again, another episode of Just Saying for another week in wrestling, going over Raw, SmackDown, TNA, NXT, Lucha Underground. So a lot to cover, and plus we have the Clash of Champions pay-per-view on tonight, which I'll give my predictions for at the end of the Raw portion of the recap show. So let's just dive in with some Monday Night Raw. So to start the show off, we have an in-ring segment with Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon, and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns basically talking about how he was screwed over last week when he wrestled Kevin Owens for the title. You know, how Rousseff came in and interfered, and then Seth Rollins got involved. So Mick Foley decided he wanted to, quote-unquote, make things right. And his way of making things right was putting Seth Rollins and Rousseff in a match together, for the two of them being the two that interfered. And then he decides to give Roman Reigns a rematch against Kevin Owens, non-title, because he's already wrestling for the United States Championship at Clash of the Champions. But the match will be in a steel cage. So the purpose of the match is just serves nothing for it just serves nothing more than just having like a cool main event and then giving a steel cage. It's just all about Roman Reigns pretty much just getting his revenge for a title match that never got finished. Kevin Owens was obviously not happy about that. He came out and let everybody know about that, and he proceeded to tell the entire world about it, even pleading to Stephanie McMahon at one point to do something about it. But, you know, Stephanie said that, you know, what Mick says goes, and that's the law. Mick Foley did cut a very interesting and passionate but somewhat unnecessary promo, talking about how if things don't go right, he's out the door, and which is pretty much just all like verbal seed planting for the inevitable Stephanie McMahon heel turn when she turns on Mick and then kicks him to the curb. So Foley's just just trying to explain to the people his worth, so when he does finally get kicked to the curb, we could all feel sorry for him. But it looks like we do have Seth Rollins versus Rousseff, and that will be the first matchup for the evening. So a pretty good physical matchup between these two. They definitely went at it. And it was, since they're 50-50 on the Seth Rollins face turn, it was actually nice to see Seth Rollins wrestle Rousseff, which was a match we haven't seen. So one good thing about a face Seth Rollins is that it does give us fresh new rivalries and fresh new matches that that we normally wouldn't get if he was a heel. The match did end in a double countout, which is good because it protects both guys. It keeps both guys from looking weak, especially because Rousseff is the champion going into Sunday. And Seth Rollins, is the challenger, so you can't have either guy take a loss because then it looks bad and, it's not really that believable that they can get a win on Sunday. Seth Rollins ended up doing a pretty cool spot towards the end. He did a crossbody off the table. It was actually a safe crossbody, so we don't have to worry about him injuring anybody or hurting Rousseff. Rousseff seemed to be okay. So it looks like going into it, we will have a healthy Seth Rollins, a healthy Rousseff, and 2 championship matches for the Clash. So now, Backstage Segment, which was something that I brought up with the triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the Women's Championship. That pin, Dana Brooke and Charlotte point out that pin that Sasha got on Bayley should have been a double pin, which is something that even I said that that it should have been a double pin because both shoulders were down. So Dana Brooke is campaigning to have Mick Foley scrap the match. So this way Charlotte doesn't have to fight anybody. But instead, she even asked for a tag team match at one point. But instead, Mick Foley gets the idea that since it was a double pin and both girls should have won, that also means both girls lost. So what Mick Foley ends up doing is he makes it a triple threat match. Surprise, surprise. The 4 horsewomen get stuck in another triple threat match, and the rest of the Raw women's roster gets nothing. But this is the match that they wanted. Charlotte obviously upset. And looks like triple threat match going into Clash of Champions for the women's title. Getting another Braun Strowman squash match out of the way, we move on to women's tag team action now. We have the challengers Bayley and Sasha Banks going up against the women's champion Charlotte and the apprentice Dana Brooke. In this match, the two of them worked pretty well together. They had good chemistry, but in the end, in the true heel fashion, Dana Brooke grabs the leg on Bayley for the distraction, and then as Sasha comes over for the save, Bayley gets blindsided by Charlotte and then gets put down for the 1-2-3 victory. So the champion is the one that comes out looking strong, which is good because, going into the match, I mean, I think, I'd like to believe Charlotte's going to lose the title this Sunday. I mean, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But to have both challengers lose this tag team match and have the champion walk out looking strong is definitely the right call and the right move. So we'll see what happens this Sunday at Clash of Champions. So now let's see what Sasha, Charlotte, and Bayley can do. At some point, you got to think there'll be a fatal four-way with all four of them, but that's something that's going to happen down the road. Bo Dallas wins another pointless match, and then we go into match number 6 between Cesaro and Sheamus. So the two of them, the two of them still going on with this thing. Cesaro gets the win in match number 6. Which means that the final match 7 to decide which one of them gets a championship opportunity, no surprise that it went 7, will take place at Clash of Champions. I was wondering, because there was a short number of champions, and you have a pay-per-view called Clash of Champions, but you only had 4 champions. You add the Cruiserweights in, that's 5, but then you got to have at least 6 matches to have a 3-hour show. So the 6th match will be Cesaro versus Sheamus on match number 7, and I guess it makes sense because at least that match you get a championship title shot, so it still has something to do with being a champion. You get Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax on the kickoff show, which is a match that I'm actually interested in seeing myself, and we'll see where it goes from here. So you would like to think that if Sheamus wins the best of 7 and gets the title shot, then that means Seth Rollins is going to win the title from Kevin Owens. You'd like to think that if Cesaro is the one, who wins the 7 match series, then that means that Kevin Owens retains. We'll see but again, we'll see what happens. Quick note: pointless tag team action tonight, where you have the New Day, you have Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho, the Shining Stars, Gallows and Anderson, Kaz and Enzo. But wow, what's that? 3, 4, 12-man tag team action? Well, anyway, so pointless multiple person tag team action where every person in this match has beef with somebody else at some point in time. Xavier Woods, I don't believe, was involved, him being the odd man out as always. But in the end, Sami Zayn ends up getting the victory pin. And the face team is the ones that walk out with the victory. First time Cruiserweight action on Monday Night Raw. The Cruiserweights, where four competitors from the Cruiserweight Classic, Brian Kendrick, Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, and I forget the 4th person, the dude with the lucha mask on, wrestled for an opportunity to face TJ Perkins for the Cruiserweight Championship at Clash of Champions. And I gotta say, I'm on the Cedric Alexander Rich Swann bandwagon. The two of them, they were my 2 favorites in the entire tournament. I thought both of them got a raw deal with how they lost, with how they lost, and the fact that neither one of them at least made it to the Final 4. But Cedric Alexander, actually, he's getting a big opportunity because of that reaction he got from the crowd. He was even on NXT, which we'll see a little bit later. If he's taken out of that Cruiserweight division, I wouldn't be too upset about that because the guy could be, the guy could actually be an NXT champion. He can come to the main roster, and he could be a heavyweight champion. He could be a, United States Intercontinental champion. But in the end, in an effort to make TJ Perkins, look good at the pay-per-view, Brian Kendrick does get the submission victory over Cedric Alexander. But everybody shines, so there's really nothing to complain about here. It was definitely a good match by all 4 competitors involved. And, I'm excited for the Cruiserweights, going forward, and I definitely would like to see, how many more guys get added onto the roster and how big we can actually really make this thing. So finally in the main event, we have the cage match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Definitely a good match. Despite the hate and the unnecessary boos that Roman Reigns receives, Roman Reigns has been putting on some really good matches. He's also been in the ring with really good workers as well, but the dude is putting on good matches, and you got to give him respect for that. He ends up winning the cage match here, which is odd because him winning the cage match could mean a loss for him this Sunday. Kevin Owens losing could mean a win for Kevin Owens this Sunday. So it's interesting to see how those two things will go. But after Roman Reigns wins the cage match, it wasn't over, because then we have Rusev coming in to get him some and spark the feud for the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. The two of them going at it, throwing those haymakers at each other, which eventually spills out into the ring, where Kevin Owens would get involved. They end up putting the boots to Roman Reigns, which obviously, of course, brings out Seth Rollins to come and make the save. Now, Seth Rollins wasn't necessarily making the save to help Roman Reigns. I think he even sent out a tweet saying that he's no friend to Roman Reigns. He was just trying to come get him some, when it comes to Kevin Owens. And, that's exactly what he did. He got in the ring, he handled his business. He ended up doing it at the, I don't want to say expense, but he ended up doing it at the assist of Roman Reigns, helping him out as well, as he was getting savagely beaten in the ring. And then Seth Rollins does his Jeff Hardy impersonation, by diving on everybody, and hopefully nobody is hurt. So that's that's it. So we got a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue, and we're full cylinders going into Clash of Champions. Okay, so real quick, I just want to give my predictions for the Clash of Champions pay-per-view, my official predictions, though I may have spoiled some stuff in the video prior, talking about the Raw show. So just to start, we got pre-show match. We have Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax. Obviously, Alicia Fox will lose. She will get destroyed, and Nia Jax will get the victory, because Nia Jax needs to get the pin to preserve her dominance going forward. Though I hope Alicia Fox actually does put up a fight. I don't want them to squash her. I don't want them to kill her. I want Alicia Fox to put up a good fight, and then if she has to lose in the end, then she loses in the end. But it's pointless to have a pre-show match that's going to last 13 seconds. So let Alicia Fox get her shine on. My prediction is, because the WWE does not like Cesaro and they overly favor Sheamus will most likely win the best of 7 series, and then Cesaro will probably quit and then go to TNA. With the Cruiserweight Classic match, TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick, obviously the only purpose of Brian Kendrick even getting the match is because you just did the Cruiserweight Classic. It's brand new. You got a fresh champion. You're not going to have your champion lose in his very first fight. And for the other 3 competitors, who are the young guys that you're trying to actually get noticed to the crowd, you're trying to get them over with the audience. It's a bad look to try to get one of these guys over with the audience and then have them get beat by TJ Perkins in their very first match. So what do? You put the old guy in the mix. You put the veteran in the mix. The veteran that's going to help TJ Perkins look good. He's going to put shine on him. He's going to put him over like $1 million. Brian Kendrick is basically the sacrificial lamb for TJ Perkins, and then he can go into a real feud with somebody else after he beats Brian Kendrick. New Day tag team match. I gotta be honest, I don't want the New Day to have the titles anymore, and I'm still a New Day fan. I still love the New Day, but it does get to a point where having the belts sometimes, very rarely, will hurt you more than it helps you. And the WWE Tag Team Championships on Raw is probably the lowest of every championship belt in the entire show, which I find funny, because because the lowest titles in the entire company are the ones held by the black guys, and I'm not just saying like they're the lowest because they're out of everyone's belts they're the only belts that are bronze. That's probably one thing that has to do with it, because everybody else's belts are either silver or gold, and they're walking around with 2 gigantic pennies. But there's interest in every other title. Every other title, there's a feud in every other title. Whereas with the New Day titles, I'm pretty sure it's the one feud out of every feud on the entire show, even NXT. When it comes to every single championship title in this company, people care less about the New Day versus Gallows and Anderson. So hopefully Gallows and Anderson win the tag team titles. Hopefully they get to feud with Enzo and Cass. The New Day gets to do something else, and maybe push Kofi in a singles match. Let him face Kevin Owens for the title. Do some other things to try to retool that whole thing and freshen it up. And for God's sakes, retool those tag team titles, because it looks really bad. It definitely looks really bad. So my prediction and hope is that Gallows and Anderson walk away with the titles, and end this stalemate in the Raw tag team division once and for all. United States Championship match between Rousseff and and Roman Reigns. I honestly, I don't see Roman Reigns winning, only because WWE still wants to push him as a top singles guy. They still want to put him in a position to go after heavyweight titles. And then now that we have a face Seth Rollins, we have a face Dean Ambrose, and we have a face Roman Reigns, people are also talking a Shield reunion. So I don't see that happening if you put the United States Championship on Roman Reigns. Like, I wouldn't see the point. I mean, the fans, it'll probably work for his for his view of how the fans see him, because at least then the fans probably will like get off his back a little bit and cut him some slack now that he's in the mid card doing the mid card matches, because they definitely need to do something to change that. But I don't think they're going to turn him heel now, though they should. But again, like, the United States Championship doesn't do anything for him, so I predict Rusev to win that match. Women's Championship match. I would hope Sasha Banks would get her title back. It doesn't make sense to have Charlotte go on any longer. Sasha still has the taped ribs, so I don't, and that's the thing with Sasha Banks. Like, I can't tell if she's just that good at selling like fake injuries, or is she really hurt? Like, she does this thing a lot where after a lot of her matches she's always holding the back of her neck, she's often holding her back. Like, the girl can sell injuries, but sometimes you get lost in the fact of, is she selling it because she's just that good at selling it, or is she really hurt? And this isn't a sell, this is actually real life pain that the girl's going through. But if she is selling it, if she's not really hurt, if she's 100% fine, and the tape ribs and everything is just to sell the injury, to the audience, to make, to sell us on the reality of it, then, fine. If, I would like to see her get the title back. I don't, Charlotte's pretty much run her course, so Charlotte needs some time off with that belt for a while. Let Emma come back so they can break up the whole thing with her and Dana Brooke, and then, let Sasha feud with Bayley one-on-one, and then eventually have Sasha versus Nia Jax, because we all know that's coming. And finally, the heavyweight title match. I do not see them taking the belt off of Kevin Owens so soon. Now that Seth Rollins is a face, he's going to chase Kevin Owens for a little while, and they're going to run with Kevin Owens for a little bit. So I definitely predict Kevin Owens to win this match, but Seth Rollins will get another title, and Seth Rollins will get another title opportunity at the next Raw pay-per-view. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my prediction. Raw was decent, like I said, I'd give it a 6, not because it was bad, but just like nothing cool happened. Like, it was a regular show, like, it was just a regular show. So plus there was a lot of things that were really bad, but that was it. So we got the Clash of Champions coming up. I'll definitely do a review for that one, and we're moving right along. A-Show time, SmackDown Live up. The show starts with the women's contract signing for the women's championship match, which I like. Put some respect on the women's champion and the women's division. We have Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch with a verbal joust, which I have to say, Alexa Bliss did get the better of Becky in this one. Becky really gave like a traditional John Cena, like Rocky Balboa type promo. Alexa Bliss, she dug into her a little bit. She gave her a little Miz action. Daniel Bryan just stood there and watched. And before the contract signing started, Daniel Bryan asked that both ladies remain civil, but Alexa Bliss is a sexy, feisty little minx, so that wasn't going to happen. Not only does Alexa Bliss sign the contract and then waffle it over Becky's face, which, let's be honest, she didn't hit her that hard. I think Becky oversold that one. But then she throws the book at her and then throws the table on her. And I'm like, yo, this girl is awesome. This girl is awesome. She's not going to win the title. Obviously, she's the sacrificial lamb for Becky Lynch. But, this girl, like, she's showing everybody something. I would actually love to see a match for the Women's Championship between Alexa Bliss and Naomi, with Naomi winning that title. But Becky being Becky Balboa doesn't take that lightly. She goes after Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss runs off, and then Becky goes back and signs the contract. So Alexa Bliss definitely came out on top on this one, both verbally and physically. And maybe that table's not as heavy as it looks, but for the girl to sit there and hit her smack in the face with the book, throw the book in her face, and then flip the table over, I'm just like, all right, I was already on the Alexa Bliss bandwagon, but now I'm handcuffing myself to the rails and I'm staying on this thing. We're gonna ride this thing as far as we could take it. So definitely loving the SmackDown Women's Division and loving where we're going with all of this. Usos, American Alpha, number one contenders match to see who faces Slater and Rhino. And in this match, it is the Usos that get the victory. During the match, they were selling the fact that Gable was still injured, and I like that because everybody thought that as soon as American Alpha got called up, they were just going to automatically win out the gate. And I hate when that happens. I hate when people show up and then they just automatic, because it's too predictable. It's too predictable. It's not exciting. So what they're doing is they're dragging this out. They're giving American Alpha legitimate reasons of why they would lose, because Gabriel's injured. They even had the moment where Jordan wanted to tag him, but he was like, "Nah, dude, you're hurt. You won't be able to do it," and he tried to do it on his own. So this keeps the sympathy from the fans on American Alpha. It gives them a reason why they lost, so people don't look at them like, okay, these guys aren't as good as we heard. These guys suck. It's like, no, they're legitimately hurt. The Usos are more vicious. They're a little bit more lethal. And they take advantage of the opportunity, which they created. They take advantage of the opportunity in the situation, and they go on to face Heath Slater and Rhino for the titles. Whether or not they'll win the titles, I'm not sure. But one thing about it that I do like, and this is something about the SmackDown brand that I like. It's not a situation where the match ended. The Usos just like, yeah, whatever, blah blah blah. They do the typical thing where you have the champions backstage. Who are watching the number one contenders match. They always do that. They always have the thing where you got the champions, they're looking at the screen, they're talking to each other, and then, the announcer's like, oh, there's the tag team champions in the back looking on to see who they're going to face. And they did that in this sense. They had the two of them, having the conversation, but this is the difference between SmackDown and a Raw. On Raw, they'll just show a picture of the tag team champions just looking at the monitor, and then when the match is over, they'll just get one more shot of them either applauding, nodding their head, or whatever, and then it's over. But in this situation, the Usos, after they went up the ramp, went into the locker room, walked up to Heath Slater and Rhino, and proceeded to talk shit to their face. And this is why I like SmackDown, because on SmackDown, things continue. Feuds carry on. It's not, it's not like, oh, this one thing happened, so now we're not going to see any results from it until the next week. No, it continues throughout the course of the entire show. Every single time Nikki Bella's on camera, she gets beat up by Carmella. AJ Styles had beef with Dolph Ziggler that one episode on SmackDown, and the beef lasted every single time one of them was on screen. Why would the Usos not go to the back and let it be known that they're coming for the gold? The silver. Why would they not, come back and talk a little ish, and make fun of Heath Slater and his 37 raggedy ass kids? So it makes sense to me. I enjoy it. I'm interested. SmackDown's doing big things, and I can't wait to see the next SmackDown pay-per-view, which is No Mercy. Third match now between Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. And of course, because they're looking to push Baron Corbin gets the win again over Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews still looked strong in the match, but came up short. And I think at this point now, the feud between Corbin and Apollo Crews is officially dead. And I also think it's time for Apollo Crews to stop losing now, because I think he's earned enough sympathy from the audience to the point where people are ready to see him start picking up victories. This leads into the new sign Jack Swagger and Baron Corbin, both really tall guys. So we're gonna get hints of a feud with them in the future. And Baron Corbin can beat Jack Swagger 3 times now, because he's already beaten Apollo Crews, and Jack Swagger is gonna serve as the sacrificial lamb for Baron Corbin. So whatever happens with the two of them, I'll be tuned in. But yeah, at this point, it's time for Apollo to start getting wins now, because I think the fans have embraced him now, and I think they're ready to actually see what he can do going forward. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz one more again for the Intercontinental Championship, and I think with Dolph Ziggler they're doing the sympathy angle. During the match, Maryse got kicked out, which is about time, because she's been getting involved in pretty much every single match going forward, which leaves The Miz to go out there and fend for himself. So during the match, The Miz does still in the true Miz fashion, he still finds a way to cheat and get the victory, as he ends up picking up Maryse's perfume or body spray. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but Maryse left it behind. The Miz sprayed it in Dolph Ziggler's face, Skull Crusher finale, and again in the true heel form, picks up another victory and screws Dolph Ziggler again. Um, and it's actually cool because it's been a while since we've seen like a heel champion who constantly cheats every single time and constantly gets away with it like time after time and time again. It's good to see because the person who eventually beats him and the person who finally takes him down, hopefully Apollo Crews, will be the person who will be accepted by the fans when the fans get tired of seeing the Miz walking around with that belt. It sucks for Dolph Ziggler because he takes another L, but yeah, those are the breaks. At least Dolph Ziggler can acknowledge it, and they either better be setting Dolph Ziggler up for one hell of a championship heavyweight title run, or Dolph Ziggler is on his way out the company, and they're just having him do the favors for pretty much everybody on his way out the door. I would hope he wouldn't leave because SmackDown's still a little short on top face talent, but now that he's lost for the second or third time now to The Miz, have no idea where Dolph Ziggler goes from here, but it's time for him to get a new opponent. The Viper strikes as Randy Orton faces Eric Rowan, one of the disciples for Bray Wyatt, in a one-on-one singles competition. And, no surprise here. It's not like he's facing Braun Strowman. No surprise here. Randy Orton picks up the victory over Eric Rowan, which brings Bray Wyatt out on the television monitor for another one of his infamous, I'm telling you how I'm the greatest in the world, but yet I always lose promos. And we're still going forward with the Wyatt versus Randy Orton thing because the two of them have not actually had a match yet. They still have not had a physical confrontation. So hopefully at No Mercy we finally get that confrontation with one of them coming out on top. Hopefully Bray Wyatt, because he kind of needs it like really badly. And it'd be nice to see Randy Orton move into the heavyweight title picture, especially once AJ Styles retains over Cena and Ambrose. But that's a conversation for a different day. Time for women's tag team action with Naomi and Nikki versus Carmella and Natty. And I thought this was a little weird because Naomi and Nikki got a backstage interview where they got a lot of time to actually talk. I thought oh, that's cool. They're giving the women time to talk. Then we come back from commercial to have the match. Naomi gets her entire entrance, and we don't see an entrance for anybody else. So I'm oh wow, that's nice. They let Naomi get some mic time in the back, and they gave her full entrance. They're really putting this girl on display. And then we find out why that is. The match barely got started because Natalya puts Nikki Bella in the sharpshooter, and then Carmella just decides, screw picking up this victory, screw getting a payday, it's Nikki Bella, it's a misunderstanding, we got to handle this business, and for the 15th time, Carmella beats the ever-loving you-know-what out of Nikki Bella. And I love it. I love the fact that Carmella is on her, whenever you breathe, I'm on your ass. Whenever you have lunch, I'm on it. Whenever you look, when you close your eyes at night and then open them, you're gonna see my face because I'm on it. And I love it. And I love it. And I hope when the two of them finally do have a one-on-one match, Carmella wins that too. It was just sad because I did kind of want to see the tag team match. It would have been nice to actually have seen the tag team match and then have Carmella say screw the victory and then just go after her and beat the crap out of her. So Natalya and Carmella actually did end up getting disqualified, and I hope that sparks a little beef between Natalya and Carmella too, because Natalya should be upset about that. She should be upset because she had her in the sharpshooter. But yeah, like I said, I'm on it. I'm on it. We get a Nikki Bella Carmella match, I'm definitely on it. And I'm just waiting for the moment where Naomi can truly, the glow can truly shine, and then she eventually inserts herself into that championship picture to win the championship. We have a little backstage promo with AJ Styles getting ready to have his one. Well, actually, no, he's actually watching. He's going to watch Dean Ambrose versus John Cena, a match that we all assumed would go one way, but had a little swerve at the end of it, and we'll talk about that right now. Main event: John Cena versus Dean Ambrose, and in a shocking turn of events, Dean Ambrose, with the reversal and the roll-up, gets the pin over John Cena after talking all that trash, after calling Dean Ambrose an underachiever, calling him a loser, saying that he doesn't have what it takes, saying that he doesn't have the cojones to take the flag, beats John Cena clean in the ring, in the middle of the ring, on SmackDown Live. John Cena with the stupid look on his face, like, was that 3 ref? Or did he get the 1, 2, 3? Yes, John Cena, he got the 1, 2, 3 because you lost a match. I know that doesn't happen often. I know you're legitimately shocked. You hear the guy's theme music playing. AJ Styles comes out of nowhere, punches you in the face, puts you down in your ass. And the one thing about this entire situation that I love, John Cena comes out of it looking like a complete bitch. Like, he got beat by Dean Ambrose. He got embarrassed by AJ Styles. He's on the floor trying to pick up his courage, try to pick up, try to pick up his face. And this puts us in the ring with the two people who matter, Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. Now, Daniel Bryan shows up, not very happy about the actions or the shenanigans, of one AJ Styles. So he tells him that because Shane McMahon did come out of his mouth and say that Dean Ambrose would get a one-on-one title match, which I did mention in the last video. Bryan says that in this coming SmackDown Live, Dean Ambrose will get his title match. He'll get his one-on-one title match. Now, it's kind of silly because you're getting a triple threat match for the title, but you're also getting a one-on-one. So obviously, Dean Ambrose isn't going to win the one-on-one because he's going to go into the triple threat match to try to fight for the title as well. They're not going to put the belt on him on SmackDown Live and then take the belt off him at the triple threat or let him get it back. So it's really just a matter of just making AJ Styles looking good and giving Dean Ambrose his one-on-one title match, which John Cena shouldn't even be involved in the triple threat anyway. So no matter what happens, Dean Ambrose is good because he gets 2 title matches regardless of the situation. He puts the dirty deeds on AJ Styles. I'm giving SmackDown a solid 7, only because I did not see that women's tag match. Looking forward to No Mercy and looking forward to this coming SmackDown Live. Alright, time for some TNA Impact, and I'm going to skip right ahead to the next segment. The show opened up with Galloway versus Edwards for the Grand Championship, and I'm skipping that only because it's annoyed me that the two people that were going to end up facing each other for this title were completely obvious, and then they still made us go through this unnecessary, useless tournament, which is basically just designed to showcase how the Grand Championship rules are and how the matches are going to be. We all knew it was going to be Aaron Rex versus Drew Galloway, so that's what we're getting. We're getting Aaron Rex versus Drew Galloway, and I'm only talking about Aaron Rex versus Drew Galloway. Now, after Drew Galloway won his match, EC3 comes out. The two of them had a verbal exchange. Drew Galloway walks by Bobby Lashley, and then Bobby Lashley and the Miracle proceed to beat the snot out of EC3. It looks like the two of them have sort of alliance forming where it's just like, hey, you help me beat up my guy, I'll help you beat up your guy. And during the beating of one EC3, the monster Moose comes out with the save. Definitely crowd favorite. The guy, he's definitely, doing a lot. He's doing a lot in the short amount of time that he's been there. And once again, we have a little mix-up between Bobby Lashley and Moose. So, and I think at the end, this is the match that everybody wants to see. But because Moose came in so late, it's not like they're going to give us that match at Bound for Glory. The Miracle actually ends up getting the better of them, along with Lashley. And for the first time, the two of them actually get the better of EC3 and Moose. I believe these two teams will be in tag team action a little bit later, but the heels are the ones that come out on top, looking down at the faces, and the intrigue has been built. And I gotta say, Bound for Glory, I'm actually excited and looking forward to seeing both matches. And just to clarify, I actually like the Grand Championship. I like the styles of the matches. I'm coming around on it. I'm actually sold on it. And I am looking forward to seeing Aaron Rex versus Drew Galloway to see who's the first ever Grand Champion. So it's not an issue with the Grand Championship to me. I just don't like the fact that it was built from day one that these two were going to fight for it, and they made us jump through these hoops. They made us jump through these hoops in order to do it. Though I do get that it was done to show off the style of the match, to show the people how the matches were going to be and how it was done. I get that. But as soon as they did the Aaron Rex Drew Galloway thing, where Drew Galloway beat him up after the EC3 match, and then they put both of them in the Grand Championship thing, it was just like, all right, let's just get to the end here. It sucks for my boy Eli Drake because he's not going to get involved, and I don't know what he's doing at Bound for Glory. I guarantee at Bound for Glory they're going to have Cody Rhodes and Eli Drake have some sort of verbal exchange. Cody Rhodes did do a couple of promos where he's got a nice suit on, he's getting in a flashy car, his wife was nowhere to be seen. It looks like his name is just going to be Cody because WWE, being a bunch of bitches, won't let him use the name Rhodes, which he should probably, if I was him, I would just change it to Rhodes as in Roads instead of instead of R with the H. But his wife Brandy's coming up too, so I'm excited to see both of them. I'm excited to see Cody back in the ring, and I want to see what his wife can do. WWE kept her as a backstage interviewer. A lot of people like to say, oh, they made her be an interviewer because she can't wrestle. And then other people just like, well, they made her an interviewer because they didn't want to give her the chance. Well, we're about to find out. We're about to see what she could do. We're about, the girl's been training. She's married to the son of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. His older brother's a wrestler too, so you can't tell me the girl didn't learn nothing. Be like, being in that fan, you can't say she didn't learn nothing. So, and people like, they're too quick to judge people before the person even gets a chance to showcase something. Let the girl show something first before we start like attacking her and like burning her to the ground. I'm excited to see what she can do. Happy Cody's in TNA. TNA can only get better with the talent increases. It's time to fade away and classify ourselves as obsolete. Anyway, Decay and the Hardys in another verbal juiced as they are bound for glory, or as Matt would say, for glory they are bound. We finally get a good mix up between Rebby and Rosemary, which is something that everybody's willing to see. I have no idea what this World War I match that they're doing is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen, but the two women need to be involved. I understand it's for the tag team titles, but they got to have the women. They got to have the women involved, especially if they're going to be fighting outside in the woods, and it's going to turn into like some Hunger Games type thing. But the Hardy family, or the family Hardy, gets the better of Decay on this one, with Abyss and Crazy Steve being tied up, and Rosemary on the outside looking in. So I wish this match would hurry up and get here already, because this is what everybody wants to see. I mean, I want to see it. I know the fans want to see it, and we're gonna find out once and for all: will Decay be deleted, or will the Hardy family decay? Since Eddie Edwards couldn't cut it in the Grand Championship, he ends up challenging DJ Z next week for a match for the X Division title. It'd be nice to see, though, because at least we're going to get a real X Division match. Two guys that'll give us what we want to see and put their bodies on the line. I thought they were going to announce this match for Bound for Glory, but he said he wanted it next week, so looks like next week we're going to get this match. And if there's some interference, then maybe we'll get a better match at Bound for Glory. After cyberbullying Allie to her face, Maria has Allie pick her some easy opponents, which she can beat in simple matches. Maria still has the quote-unquote broken hand, so we're obviously not going to see this whole big wrestling barrage from her, but the girl has to do something, because she actually hasn't done anything in the ring, period, and she's supposed to be the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion. So she beats the first girl very easy. The girl looking kind of similar to Ember Moon. Maria ends up, beating her pretty easy, and then she tells Allie to bring on the next opponent. To which Allie tells her that there is no next opponent, but Maria doesn't listen. So then along comes this other person, which we assume is female, dressed in a very traditional ninja costume, doing a lot of ninja strikes, a lot of ninja moves, which is actually scaring Maria. So, what a good look for your women's champion. Maria thinks that this was another hand-picked person that Allie brought her, and then Allie told her that she actually did not pick this person and has no idea who this person is. No surprise here, it ends up being Gail Kim. I think we all knew that. So Gail Kim, for at least 2 seconds, gets her hands on Maria until Sienna breaks it up, and we are going into Bound for Glory with Gail Kim versus Maria. And just for the sake of Gail Kim, for everything that she went through, with WWE, with them not treating her correctly, her tenure in TNA, coming back to TNA and being the first ever TNA Women's Champion. You gotta think, you gotta hope, you gotta expect that Gail Kim will become Knockouts Champion the night of Bound for Glory when she gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then she will also probably retire as champion. And finally, main event time, we have Moose and EC3 versus The Miracle and Bobby Lashley, in which EC3 gets the roll-up pin on The Miracle, and the two of them win the match. this causes, obviously, the feud to spill out, where Moose is like, I don't give a damn that we won the match. I'm getting, I'm getting mines, and Moose and the Miracle end up going at it, which obviously does not work in the Miracle's favor because he weighs 13 pounds compared to Moose, but then Bobby Lashley used that as opportunity to put the whoopings on EC3. This is your Bound for Glory main event, so you can't have either guy getting hurt. So the locker room comes out, to break this fight up, which they should have did when they had the press conference, which is exactly what I said during the press conference. Like, where was security during the press conference? But what pretty much happens is we have some locker room guys that come out to try to help break them up, and then TNA president Billy Corgan comes out. Announcing that he's gonna pull a Dario Cueto, and he's gonna start the pay-per-view a week early. He says that we're gonna have a special match where both Lashley and EC3 will captain will each captain their own team in 6 sides of steel lethal lockdown, and the winner can pick a stipulation for the heavyweight championship match. Maybe James Storm makes a comeback. Put Eli Drake on the team, that way he can actually do something. Maybe Cody Rhodes comes out. Who knows? But it's gonna be pretty interesting, and I, for one, am looking forward to Impact next week. And for this show, I definitely give it a solid 7 because it wasn't a bad show. It was actually a pretty good show. I was entertained. I enjoyed it, and they still keep me interested on the road to glory. Time for some Lucha Underground, where we have Rey Mysterio in the ring and a returning Chavito Guerrero. The two of them, old-time rivalry rekindled. R.I.P. Eddie Guerrero, and looks like Rey Mysterio's protege has some thoughts about some beef that he wants to settle. Rey even tells him in the beginning, like, don't worry about Chavo. Don't worry. Just keep your eyes focused on the prize and don't get too far ahead of yourself. But the kid is young, he's impulsive, so he wants to do what he wants to do, which we find out later on. Chavo tells Ray keep him in check or else he's gonna have to hurt him, and which pretty much means at some point Chavo's gonna have to hurt him because the kid's not gonna keep still. So on to one of the 2 hottest ring announcers in the business today, JoJo being the first, Melissa being the second. And Dario once again brings out the Wheel of Doom. We'll just call it that because, the person whose name comes up gets a heavyweight championship title shot, but they go up against the monster, which is Dario's little quote unquote little brother. And much to the eruption of the crowd, and definitely a fan favorite that probably nobody saw coming. Who would have thought, in a TV show of Lucha Underground, which is based pretty much around the Hispanic culture and Lucha Libre, which is very like Latin, Latino, like Latin heavy, that the black guy, Mac, is the one where the crowd goes bananas over, to the point where people are chanting his name, Return of the Mac. His name comes up on the wheel, and Matt gets the title shot against Dario Cueto's little brother. And one thing I like about it, as soon as his name got announced, the monster Matanza goes right to the staircase, ready to beat the living crap out of Mac as soon as he shows up. And Melissa's looking good though, but the Mac does the smart thing. He comes in through the back and gets the drop on the monster and starts putting the boots to him, because the thing is, I understand that Matanza's a monster and all, but Mac's not a little guy. His agility is very concealing, like you don't expect it. But the Mac came out, the crowd was into it. Everybody wanted the Mac to win that title, and it was so intense. They actually got me thinking that this guy was really going to win this championship belt. But we all know better. Damn well Mac wasn't winning that title. So good effort. He put respect on his name. The crowd loves him, but y'all knew he wasn't winning that damn belt. So so another win for the Dario family. And the Mac's name now gets taken off the list, and shoot, maybe give Killshot the next championship opportunity, because I would actually like to see Killshot make a stab at the gold. Sexy Star is the Gift of the Gods champion, but damn well she ain't cashing that bad boy in no time soon, not while that guy's holding the title. So we'll see what happens. So Dario Cueto puts Cage and Tejano in a match together, saying that because both of them were, the first ones eliminated in his Unique Opportunity tournament, and he was also a little disappointed because he respects both guys, he ends up creating something called an Ultimate Opportunity, which the winner was supposed to receive. Cage comes out as the victor. Cage does win this match, and turns out that the Ultimate Opportunity, well, this isn't the Ultimate Opportunity, but the opportunity is the opportunity to wrestle a best of 5 series. So now the ultimate prize at the end of it, it'll probably be the same thing that WWE is doing with Cesaro and Sheamus, where the winner of their best of 5 will pretty much end up getting a title shot. Because to say like, oh, it's an ultimate opportunity, like what the hell else is there? So, like you're wrestling for the only thing you can get that'll be worth it is the title. So unless you're going to wrestle Sexy Star for the Gift of the Gods Championship, pretty much whoever wins this best of 5 series is going to get a title shot against Dario's brother. But Cage wins match 1, and we got a match 2 coming up, so we'll see the outcome of that. But as long as Dario's brother holds the title, I'm going to say that Tejano will come from behind and win this best of 5 series, only to get crushed by Dario's brother later on. Trios Championship match in the main event. Which was pretty quick. Like the show actually went by pretty quick, and I was like, wow, like no Katrina, no Mil Mortez, no Prince Puma, no Kill Shot, because love to see me some Katrina. So we have Trios Championship. We have a Trios Championship match, and Johnny Mundo goes to Dario demanding a shot at the heavyweight title, in which Dario tells him no. And then Dario tells him, you got a match for the Trios tag titles, take that match, and if you don't want it, I'll find somebody else. Johnny decides not to take it, so Dario puts his girlfriend in the match in Johnny's place. Going up against Phoenix's team. One of the competitors on the Darewolves team, on Team Johnny, ends up throwing a temper tantrum, and in a childlike way, sits on the floor in disgust, rocking back and forth and pouting. This causes the team of Phoenix to emerge victorious, and puts a little deception among the ranks of Team Johnny. Johnny's girlfriend, whose name I will remember one of these days, obviously isn't happy about it because she could have been a champion, and that guy cost them a shot. Johnny Mundo himself shows up, and then him and his entire group end up beating up the Trios Tag Team Champions, soften them up as the third member of the team basically continues to pout. So hopefully, if we get a rematch, it'll be Johnny, the Darewolf, and the girlfriend versus Team Phoenix. And whoever this random dude is who's throwing a hissy fit won't even be involved, and we'll get a decent trios tag team match. I have a feeling that they will eventually put the belts on them, but you got to think like a heavyweight championship run for Johnny Mundo is coming soon, because he was like one of the first stars that they signed, and he didn't come over there just to be a footnote and not actually do anything important. So I definitely look to see that happening. We do get a Sexy Star appearance, which was funny to see because, you got the Trios Tag Team Champions beat down for the count. It's not like they can get up and help. Sexy Star comes in and then clears the ring. So, like, that in itself was a little odd, but hey, it's Lucha Underground. I love what I'm seeing, so I'll roll with it. Definitely don't have anything against that. So, Rey Mysterio's protege and Chavo will have a match next week, and the winner will face Pentagon Dark in a one-on-one match, seeing how both of them want revenge for getting their arm broken. Rey's protege, whose name I will also remember at some point, was looking for Lotus, who has not been seen since Season 2 ended, not even sure she's still with the company. So we'll see what goes on there. Rey Mysterio was told by Dario he will be the special guest referee to make sure that the match is fair and there are no shenanigans. Decent show for Lucha Underground. I would definitely I'll give the show a 7. A 7 only because the matches were entertaining, but I would definitely like to see some more people. Like, the show needs to be more than an hour. Let's get some some more tracks. Let's get some more of these guys on the show. Didn't get to see Katrina. That's always disappointing because that's one fine woman. Like, between her, JoJo, and Maria, like well, different story for a different day. But yes, good show by Lucha Underground. Very impressed by what they did this week. Looking forward to next week. Alright, finally some NXT, where Samoa Joe, coming off of the beatdown on Shinsuke Nakamura, shows up and with a doctor's note, with a medical report saying that Nakamura dislocated his shoulder, and he'll be out for 6 to 12 weeks. And Samoa Joe demands that Regal strips him of the title and gives the title to him, and raises his hand in victory. And he demanded it. He told Regal, bring his ass out here and give me what's mine. William Regal comes out and pretty much says that he doesn't know where he got the report from, but he's not going to do it just yet. He's going to look into the situation and he'll make the decision because he's the general manager. Samoa Joe does not take kindly to that, and he tells William Regal if he doesn't, give him what he's owed, give him what he deserves, he doesn't put the title around his waist, he will start destroying the roster one member at a time. So this is pretty interesting, because it's actually was interesting to see who the first victim's going to be, because Joe's a man of his word. He's going to do what he says. So if I'm the NXT locker room, I look out, and it's very it also puts a bullseye on your back, especially when he says that before the show even starts. So we'll see how the show turns out from here. Couple of backstage interviews. First interview with the new debuting Cedric Alexander, which I'm happy for, because Cedric Alexander, like I said earlier, I hope they pull him out of that Cruiserweight division and actually make him a solo star on NXT, and then eventually bring him up to the main roster. And out of all the new Cruiserweights, he's the only one so far that's actually having a debut match on NXT. So looking forward to the Cedric Alexander match. We have a Liv Morgan backstage interview now, where she's pretty much trying to back up the words, the insanity that came out of her mouth when she said that she was coming for Asuka's head. Pretty much the entire planet thought she was insane, including Asuka, who comes out and basically gives her the "bitch, you don't have what it takes," and she walks away. Asuka gives her that look in the eye, like, I'm going to kill you. And if I'm Liv Morgan, she should be urinating on herself as we speak. So when this match finally unfolds, I don't see it lasting that long. And after Asuka wins, she needs to throw the belt at William Regal and demand that she be promoted to Raw or SmackDown, because unless she fights Ember Moon, there's no hope for any of those girls on the NXT brand. New matchup now. We have another match by the greatest man who ever lived, Austin Aries, in one-on-one competition. And no surprise here, Austin Aries with the Last Chancery does get the victory, and he is your winner. And the crowd, once again, loving a heel Austin Aries. They weren't too high up on him when he was a face, but ever since he turned on No Way Jose, things for Austin Aries have turned around. And for the first time since, well, not the first time officially, but pretty much since Brooklyn, he finally addresses the Hideo Itami situation, saying that he took some time off, but he's not hard to find. And if Hideo Itami wants some, he can come get some. And, looks like we're finally going to get that Hideo Itami Austin Aries program going forward. Though I do find it coincidental that both guys never seem to be on the same show at the same time. And luckily that wasn't the case in this situation. Hideo Itami comes out after being repeatedly called a coward by Austin Aries, saying that he doesn't want none. Hideo Itami shows up and lets him know that he does want some, and not only does he want some, he's coming to get him some. The crowd went bananas because they thought they were going to get this match right now, but no, in the true heel fashion, Austin Aries does, slither his way out of the ring to avoid it, and we now have the teasers for the Austin Aries Hideo Itami match. So it took long enough because the Brooklyn thing happened in August. So, it's damn near October. But looks like we're finally going to get it, which means there's a takeover coming up pretty soon, which I think is the Canadian takeover. So if they're lucky, they'll find a way to drag this thing out until then. But that is the match that everybody wants to see right now. Women's action with the new badass but sexy Aaliyah. And I said it before, and I gotta say it again. Thank goodness she ditched that that cutesy like goody two shoes girls gimmick. And I mean, I don't know what she was doing, because when she was on Breaking Ground, the girl was pretty bad. Like, her promos were pretty bad. Like, she just looked like she was a deer in the headlights. She was just happy to be here, happy go lucky. I think somebody was just like, hey, put on these black tights, darken your eyeliner a little bit, and just go out there and talk some trash. And it's amazing how, at least when it comes to like the women's competitors, it's amazing how a person can go from sexy to not sexy just depending on whether their personality switches. Like, they didn't really do anything different. Like, a classic example, Eve Torres. When Eve Torres was a face, she sucked. But then when Eve Torres became a heel, and she ended up being the assistant to the general manager, to John Laurinaitis, like, it was just like, okay, like, there's something sexy about a bad Eve Torres. The same thing with Cameron. When Cameron turned heel and had a little short plaid skirt, I was like, okay, I'm digging this. Like, Layla did the same thing, and I don't know, there's something about these bad girls that that does it for me. She ends up going against who's this? Billie Kay. And the interesting thing about Billie Kay is, when the new group of NXT girls, when they first started out, all of them were losing. They were all jobbers. They were all squash matches. Billie Kay was one. Liv Morgan was one. Aaliyah was one. All of them were getting squashed. But now that they're the it girls, they're starting to pick up wins now, because the girls that were beating their asses are no longer here. So you wait for one of them to emerge from the ashes from the rest of them, and it looks like the WWE has pegged Billie Kay to be that girl. Even though she took the loss to Ember Moon, and you can tell they're going to push Ember Moon, they're making Billie Kay, like the focal point. Like, she's probably gonna end up being like one of the top heels until one of these other girls emerges and takes the title from her. But but I like that. I like her. I like her attitude. I like her outfit. I like the fact that she changed some things up. I like the fact that all the girls changed some things up. We got a heel versus heel match, which is something rare. But it's still interesting. I mean, I definitely like what I'm seeing so far. It's the shame that none of these girls are on the level that Asuka is. But once you take Asuka off the mix, then we can focus more on this new group of girls that can come up together. Billie Kay does get the victory here with the big boot. And, to be honest, I hope they don't change her finisher. Because the girl is tall, she is long, like, her legs are longer than most people's body. The big boot is the perfect, simple finisher for this girl. She just needs to do the slap on the boot thing, so when she kicks the person in the face, you actually hear the boom. You hear the boom noise. But, good outing by both women. Victory by Billie Kay. And again, very interested in the next group of women that are coming up. And finally, in the main event, we have my boy Cedric Alexander versus Cien Almas, who Alberto Del Rio, or Alberto El Patron, said was unhappy with his role at WWE and wants out, and he just got there. And I would not be surprised. I would also not be... Well, no way Jose's not going nowhere, but, the things that they're doing with Cien Almas, I mean, from the time he debuted, people just didn't like him. They didn't like the gimmick. They didn't like what was going on with him. And I'm pretty sure he's not a fan of, like, getting booed and disrespected, in the United States, because he was obviously loved in Mexico. So if the guy does end up leaving, I won't be surprised. But I think he needs to embrace it and, and become heel and become a bad guy. But then I don't think he speaks English that well either, so maybe he needs a manager. But they got to do something with him. But anyway, this wasn't about him. This was about Cedric Alexander, who lost the Fatal 4-Way on Raw, but came out on NXT, put up a great show. Had a great one-on-one match with a really great opponent, a really tough opponent, and much to my delight, it's Cedric Alexander who comes out on top of this match. He picks up the victory with his finishing maneuver with the catapulting double knees to the to the back. You can see the excitement in the guy's face, how he's completely losing his ish. The crowd loves him. I mean, I'm all into it. And I mean, look at the guy. Like, the guy looks like a champion. Like, the dude looks like he looks like somebody who he could win the NXT title tomorrow, and the fans would love it. The fans would embrace it, and they wouldn't give him the Roman Reigns treatment. So definitely good show. Good show. Like, nothing wowing or nothing amazing. I mean, But like I said, I mean, I would give the show a solid 7. Only because like matches were good, but nothing made me jump out of my seat. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm entertained. I like what I see. I still got my WWE subscription. I still watch TNA on Pop. I still watch Lucha Underground on El Rey Network. So I like what I'm seeing. Can things improve here and there? Of course, things can improve, but it's not enough to the point where I'm ready to boycott the entire process. So we have So that was it. Good week of wrestling. Good entertaining week of wrestling. We'll cap that off with the response video I'm gonna do for the Clash of Champions pay-per-view tonight. I already gave my predictions, so I'm just saying, keep tuning in. Keep watching, and we'll hit you with some more of that content. As soon as we get a chance. So until then, this is Icon signing off for another week of wrestling. You guys take care.